It's a wonderful thing to be able to lose a chess game and learn from it, right? Losing is learning, is my philosophy for living. Losing is learning. When you win, it's so much harder to have that frame of mind that you should take apart your victories.
Hey, I'm Devon Harris. Welcome to Keep On Pushing TV, where we share ideas and insights that are going to challenge and inspire you to keep on pushing and in the process, live your absolute best life. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and give us a like, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment below because it helps to grow the channel. We appreciate your help. Thank you so much. I'm excited to hang out with my guest today. He is Jamaican born, and like a true Jamaican, he has multiple jobs. He's an analyst, he's a commentator and MC, he's a motivational speaker, he's an author, a DVD producer, an app developer, and yeah, he's also a trailblazer, man. He's a trailblazer. He's the first black person to become a grandmaster in chess. Yes, you heard me right. I am speaking about none other than Maurice Ashley, who lives his passion for chess and inspire others not only to play chess, but he shows them how to apply the strategies and the principles from chess to improve business practices and assist with personal growth. Enjoy. I know you will.
This is Keep On Pushing TV with Devon Harris.
Hey Maurice, thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with us here and Keep On Pushing. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well, man, and I realize that you're down in the warm Florida sunshine and we're having a nor'easter here in New York, so you run away from the cold, huh?
Man, I don't envy you at all. I know you was in the bobsled world once in a while, and you must have loved the snow. But man, I run from snow like the plague, like it's COVID, like it's COVID. I'm happy to be in the warm Florida sunshine.
I hear you, man. It's all good. So, you have accomplished so much, man. ESPN commentator, author, championship coach, you name it. But you have also been the first black grandmaster in chess. And I want to start there. First of all, what does that mean to you, being the first person of color to become a grandmaster in the sport of chess?
Well, it means a lot. I mean, the point is that representation really and truly matters. So for me to be able to show that people of color can do highly intellectual, rigorously intellectual activities and be successful in it, make a career out of it, be recognized in the U.S. Chess Hall of Fame, to show that that is possible tells young people and older people as well that we can do anything. We can do anything. We're not limited to just the physical realm or the entertainment realm, but we're also accomplished in the intellectual fields as well.
Indeed. What I guess the question is, when did you decide that you wanted to become a grandmaster?
It wasn't a decision. It took me over. Basically, the obsession with chess said, you're going to do this the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. I bumped into chess in high school. When I was in New York City, a friend of mine played. We had a great rivalry, just the small group of friends. I started playing chess in the parks in Brooklyn and then finally in the clubs in Manhattan. And I was just so passionate about it, so in love with it. You got to know, my mother was looking at me like I was crazy. Like, what are you going to do with this game? Where's the money? Where the money there? That's what she would say to me. And I couldn't explain to her that I just love to do it so much.
Yeah.
And because when you found a thing that you're so passionate about, you just touched, you just feel like you have to do it all the time. That's what happened. And pretty soon on, I wanted to be among the best of the best in the game.
Mm-hmm. By the way, you just spoke about the passion that took you over. As you're the first black grandmaster, are there others now?
Yes, there are. One in Sweden, Pontus Carlson, and also one from Zambia, Amon Samitoe, and another one in South Africa, Kenny Solomon.
Cool. So there's an increase in representation. It's growing, huh?
It is.
How about women? Are there many women grandmaster in chess?
The female participation in chess is really a mixed bag for us because it's about 10% of the professional level. So there are 37, probably a little bit more now. The last time I checked was 37 female grandmasters around the world. But that's really a small percentage based on the 1,700 plus grandmasters worldwide. So we're hoping that that kind of participation will expand so that then more women will start to become grandmasters as well.
Yeah. So this passion of yours took you over. Your mother wanted to know where the money there, which you just, for those who didn't know, you just outed yourself as Jamaican. So talk to us about those early years growing up in Jamaica, Maurice.
Well, indeed, it was a challenge because Mummy came to this country in the United States when I was 2 years old. My sister was 7 months old. Our brother Devon was 10 years old, and left us with our grandmother, Mama, who had to take care of us in her old age. She was 64 years old when mother left, and she took care of us for the next 10 years. But you know how it is. We were barrel children. Mm-hmm. She came here with a dream. She was hoping to get some money together so that she could bring us over, get her money and papers together so she could bring us to this country, to the United States, and do what a lot of immigrants did, right? Search for a better life. So it was challenging in Jamaica. There was a lot of challenges, the 70s and the 80s, man. There was some tough times of political violence going on that was real serious, and we were poor. So, we just were trying to get by.
Yeah.
And so it was a real challenge early on.
Yeah. So you have a brother called Devon. Good name. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. When I saw your name, I said, oh, okay. I have to take this interview. I have no choice.
Exactly. Where in Jamaica did you guys grow up?
We moved around quite a bit. We were in Tower Hill for my main formative years around age 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we moved out to Rockford. And, those are the last two places I remember growing up.
Yeah. So we're kind of close, man. Tower Hill, I'm just down the road, down Olympic way down in Waterhouse. So it wasn't very far from you at all. Which schools did you attend?
I went to Seawood in Jamaica, and then I tested into Wolmer's for the first farm before we left to come to the U.S.
Yeah. So were you involved in sports in Jamaica? How active at Chad were you?
I was very active, but basically I followed behind my brother Devon, and he was into martial arts. So he taught me karate, and we would go to the dojo and practice. I got my blue belt. That was always the fun thing I wanted to do. Of course, I was doing everything else, stay active, riding a bicycle or playing soccer, football, and the like. A little cricket on the side also. So
your brother became a champion kickboxer. Did I read that right?
3-time world champion kickboxer. My sister Alicia, the baby of the family, became a 6-time world champion boxer. So we have a very competitive family, given our humble upbringings.
Yeah,
we did turn out into fields that were not traditional, but became fairly successful in all of them.
Yeah. So you moved to the U.S. Talk to me about that transition, Maurice. I almost called you Devon. Well, I'm in love with my name. It would appear. But talk to me about that transition into your move to Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Yes, that transition was interesting because it was also a mixed bag, if you will, because you're away from your mother for all those years, right? 10 years. We saw her a few times when she visited. And then finally, you're going to live with her, and you're going to live in the United States of America, the richest country, most powerful country in the world. I thought I was going to move into a big penthouse apartment with a pool on the roof. I'm serious about that, by the way. I bet Devon, my brother $20 that's how we were going to live. And then you end up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, where Mike Tyson is from, right? Brownsville, hardcore. I always say Brownsville was so rough. Mike Tyson had to get out of Brownsville.
Exactly. And you came, well, you're from Tower Hill. You can hang.
Yes, but you weren't expecting to bring Tower Hill to the United States, right? You weren't expecting the same thing. And then you had the drug dealers, you had the prostitutes, you had the carjackers, the police brutality. You had the whole gamut of urban blight in one place. And then to find out it wasn't just in Brownsville, but also in Bed-Stuy and in Bushwick, in the Bronx. You know, it was extraordinary to move to a country you thought you're going to just be rich and then feel like you're starting over from scratch, and in a dangerous environment as well. So it was indeed a psychological challenge to go from one to the other. And then the cold weather came, and then it was a real psychological challenge. When winter came, man, we came in August, it was all right. Winter hit. First time I touched snow, I thought it was going to be fun. And then I dropped it. Like, what was I thinking? So it was really first cultural shock, a physical shock as well. And just to have these stereotypes explode right in your face was some kind of transition for me.
Yeah, I can imagine, you know, living in Jamaica, being a barrel child and, you know, having stuff being sent to you, you in your mind is thinking, well, you know, once I move to America, things are going to be peachy. And then, you know, you end up in, you know, quite possibly a worse environment than, let's say, even Tower Hill or Rockford was. How was the transition in school, though? Was that any better?
That was easy. That was easy, man. Wilmer's was top notch. I went into the next grade. I actually tested into the top grade in the school because it was a zone school, just a local neighborhood school that was a couple of blocks away from where we lived. And I tested into the school, and immediately I was in the top grade in the class, 7th grade, 7 SP, all the best kids in the school. And I just think it was straight coming from Wilmer's preparation, man. And then when they started doing math, I said, wait, I went back home. I said, Mummy, I can't be in this class. I know all this stuff. It's easy. And she said, okay, take your report card from Jamaica and show it to the guidance counselor who had tested me, right?
Yeah.
And I took it to the guidance counselor. I said, look, man, I was first in my class at Wilmer's in 1T. And she said, this means nothing. You're in the best class. Go back. All right. And so, you know, for basically almost a whole year, I learned nothing in math because I had already done it the previous year. And I just sat back and hardly took notes that whole first year. And then they even skipped us a grade from 7th grade to 9th grade because we were the advanced group. Mm-hmm. And so we were even younger for the age group than normal because we skipped a grade into 9 SP. And then when I went to Brooklyn Tech High School, tested into one of the specialized schools in New York, that's when the learning really finally got rigorous. But by then is when I fell in love with chess.
Right. So you found chess, that became your passion. And I'm guessing that, you know, having something like that to focus on kept you away from the negative environment in the Brownsville community?
Yes, indeed. I hung out with the chess players. We were all in with chess, man. That's all we wanted to do after school. Every single day after school, we were playing chess. And Mummy knew exactly where we were, where I was. You know, she knew him so hooked on this chess thing. He's with a friend on a Friday night when high school kids might be having fun with their friends or getting high or getting into trouble. She always knew which house I was in and what I was doing. And, you know, she was right 100% of the time because I couldn't get it out of my system. You know, I just wanted to play and play and play and get good and get better and beat people, crush people. That's all I wanted. So I was reading books all the time. You should have seen how many books I read during that time, man. And my father encouraged it as well. We would visit him once every week or once every couple of weeks, and he would pass me a little chess book here, pass me another little chess book here, because that's all I was begging for.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's interesting. So you're in Brownsville, you know, predominantly a Black community where usually be playing football or basketball, baseball or something else or getting in trouble. Did you feel like one of the odd man out where, you know, a Black kid playing chess and pursuing chess?
It's funny. I didn't feel it at all, actually, because once you have a social circle that is interested in what you're doing, then the larger circle doesn't really matter so much. So there were about 5 or 6 of us who were all into chess. And once we had that group, it steeled us against any outside influence. And a lot of the kids respected it anyway. When you think about the fact that kids love to play games, and we play all kinds of card games, we play dominoes. So they like to play checkers. So chess just seemed like one of those other games that in the Black community, they didn't have any stereotypes about as much. In fact, for us, the Black men that played chess were like the cool men. They always invariably had some sense. They weren't nerds and you couldn't talk to them. They somehow just had a different kind of vibe to them. And
Right.
so it wasn't really that hard transitioning in terms of playing chess and having friends outside of that activity.
Got you. So your one of your first games here in New York, your friend kicked your butt. You decide to go learn and get better, which was kind of interesting. And I say that only because remember when I was in high school, man, I could not wait to leave school. Did not want to see another book because I was going to go join the army. I was going to go run around and fire guns all day. And then I joined the army. I did all of the running and stuff. But then I had a big stack of books. And it kind of dawned on me that, wow, you're going to do something new, you better learn. And I think that's what, your experience is teaching as well. Is that the message you'd have for young people coming up, regardless of what it is that they're doing, that they have to, apply themselves and gain some knowledge in order to get good?
Well, knowledge is power. And that's what I learned from chess. When I read this chess book and I tried to beat my friend, it turns out he had read that book and a bunch of other books. And I understood quick on, if I was going to beat this person and beat all my friends, that I had to bring extra knowledge to it. But it was also, we kind of make it sound like it's heavy lifting. The fact is, I loved what I was learning. So for me, I saw the application from the learning. I could study some move in a chess book, I study an opening, study an end game. And then when I'm playing the game, all of a sudden I go, oh man, I just read this in the book. Boom, hit him with it, right? And when you see the magic of your learning is actually applicable to something you really want to do well, then it's easy to go back and learn more. And I think that is the challenge for young people, is that when you say, oh, you got to study, a lot of times the material that they're studying is not what they want to learn. That's not what they're passionate about. Mm-hmm. So they don't really want to study hard for something they feel they're never going to use. And that is really where you have to figure out for that young person, what are you really into? Because if they are into it, I find kids are naturally curious and they will put in the work. They don't consider it work because they love to do it. So they'll do whatever it takes to get more knowledge about it. And you'll be stunned to see how much they apply themselves once they have the thing that they're passionate about.
Yeah. I read, Maurice, where at some point, I guess during your late teenage years, you had to, for want of a better term, divorce yourself from some of the people, the younger guys that were around you. Talk to us about that experience, that decision that you made.
Well, I was all about one thing, which was to be successful, and particularly at chess. And there are distractions in the community. There are distractions. There are things that other people want to do. And there's also this time suck when you're hanging around your friends and you're not on the path to greatness. So at some point, I realized that there was just this disconnect between what I wanted to do and what my friends wanted to do. So I had to just step back for a while and get into my thing. And it was a tough period. I was lonely for a minute, just all your friends that you normally hang out with, now suddenly you're by yourself. But over time, I made new friends, dealt with it. And in the meantime, I always had chess. So that was my security blanket.
Mm. Yeah, I'm listening to you and I'm reminded of my own experience growing up as well in Waterhouse, where I was a little bit younger, about 13 years old. And I said, listen, me and you are not friends again. We're not friends anymore. And it's a lonely road. And when I'm speaking to young men, young people these days, they seem so reluctant, man, to take that leap, to go, you know what, I want to be over here. And if you guys want to join me, you're welcome, but I'm not going to hang with you. What do you say to them, Maurice? How do you get them to understand that it's okay to, walk your path?
Peer pressure is real. People are social by nature. That's how the human race develops. So it does take a tough mind, a dedicated mind, a passionate one to walk the lonely path, the road less traveled, in order to be successful. And I'll say it's very tough. The way it usually happens is if you can find another social circle that will embrace you as well. Because to just walk your own path by yourself, and no man is an island, as they say, as the quote goes, well, no person can live on this earth by themselves. It just doesn't really work. So it's usually you find a new social circle, one person or two who really share your passion, your dedication. That's the easy way to get to transition off from people who are just not into what you're about.
Yeah, I got you. How old were you when you became a grandmaster?
Oh, the late age of 33.
33. So
I started late.
You're a grandfather.
Geriatric by chess standards, let me tell you, man. Usually grandmasters are in their late teens, now even earlier teens.
Really?
Even
Wow.
the technology. But back then it was really late teens, early 20s. Kids who were prodigies from when they were 5, 6, 7 years old, got groomed by grandmasters early on, people whose parents could afford to push them down that chess road. If you think about the gymnasts in China and Russia who get to specialized chess schools and have the top elite training that helps you get along that path, a lot of the young grandmasters got that. That the Soviet school of chess, where the patriarch Mikhail Botvinnik would bring all the best young players to his school once every 6 months or so and school them in the finer techniques and send them back home with homework to do and preparation for the next time. Man, I didn't have any of that. I was in Brownsville, Brooklyn, man. My school was the park hustlers trying to take your money from you. So it was a very different path to get to my goal.
Yeah. And I gather that at one point you, I wouldn't say you got sidetracked, but your focus was on life because it happened. How did you get back on track and recommit yourself to this goal of becoming one of the best chess players in the world?
Well, the reality is the older you are when you start playing, the more likely it is that life is going to knock on your door and say, listen, you're going to have to take care of bills. You can't live with your parents' house all your life, that's for sure. And at some point you say, okay, I got to branch out. Then you meet a lady or two, and especially if you meet a special one like I did back then, a woman who would become my wife, and then, oops, here comes a child. It's like, wow, life is not a game, and it's not about playing games. And chess was not paying enough money at the time for me to just try to play. I had to teach, I had to lecture and make some money that way. And so it was very, very difficult. It was very difficult. I would say I never really stepped away from the game. It was just times I had to put it on hold because bills had to be paid, rent had to be paid, food had to be put on the table. So that was the challenge for me. Eventually, at one point, I was able to get a sponsor. That was really life-changing for me, a sponsor who believed in what I was doing and was able to take care of the basic costs so that I could pursue my ultimate goal.
So you got a teammate in your corner. Talk to me about the process. What do you need to do specifically to become a grandmaster? What was that journey like for you?
Well, technically speaking, a grandmaster title is conferred on someone who has accomplished 3 norms, or the appropriate number of norms. It's usually 3 because you need 25 games and most tournaments are 9 rounds each. So 3 times 9 is 27 is usually how it's done. And those 3 norms have to be accomplished in competition where there are at least 3 grandmasters in the tournament as well, and multiple countries represented. You can't do it in just an all US or all Jamaican field. You need to have external competition as well so that we know it's fair. We know that there's no collusion on the parts of the players. And all the players will be internationally ranked. So you're talking about top tier players. Once you have these players who are ranked, then you have to get a certain score, and that's tabulated by the International Chess Federation to say, okay, you're playing against X opposition, therefore you have to get Y score to prove that that's a grandmaster level. And then you have to do that 3 times. Man, that is some hard work. Let me tell you, because it's not like you're taking, O levels or a law exam, right? The bar. You are not studying material that just sits there and says, okay, you know it, you do it. You're facing off in competition against people who are trying to kill you, trying to prove you're not a grandmaster. You don't belong at this level. What do you think you're trying to do here? And that's when the grandmasters really have to show their stuff. And so took me from my first norm to my last norm 7 years to pull it off. 6 years, actually, from 93 when I got my first to 99 when I got my last. And in between was a lot of falling down and a lot of trips, trials, near misses. Oh, I almost got it, but lost in the last round. I mean, just brutal, because you're facing off against elite players on the planet, right? Fellow grandmasters. And it's just not easy. They're not going to have their dead body be the one you walk over to get the title. Right. So it definitely was not easy.
Yeah, so you're trying your best to get in, and they're trying to shut the door on you as hard as possible, as it were.
That's right. Nobody's just welcome. You don't just get the silver platter here,
right,
to the party. Not at all. Because the key thing is, you have to understand, is this is all being done in tournaments where there's either money or prestige at stake. So there's no incentive for them to let you in at all, because they're trying to win the tournament. They're trying to win a little extra money, and then just plain old professional pride. They don't want to lose to some random upstart who's not even a grandmaster himself. So they put it to you, man. It's rough in
here. Yeah. So let's talk about the sport of chess and the sport of life. Because here it is that you're going, and the lessons and how it impacts us, right? So you're going up against a guy across the table, across the board from you. I remember watching a video with you. You talk about how important, the importance of communication that you take away from chess, that it's really about not so much you, but focusing on the other person. Can you expound on that for us?
Absolutely. Well, one of my trainers, Gregory Kardanov, who's a grandmaster from Russia, he would say to me quite often, he said, listen, it's all about the opponent, right? It's all about the opponent. He told this really good story. I should say, he gave a good example. He said, imagine the two of you have a gun and you're trying to shoot each other. And imagine you get a clear line of sight that you can make the shot, but for some reason you don't shoot. Whatever it is, there's something was in your eye, or you blink for a second and you don't take the shot. Well, what happens? Neither one of you is dead. You get a chance to keep playing, right? Mm-hmm. But now imagine it's the flip side. Your opponent has a clear line to shoot at you that you didn't notice at all, because you were, again, the sun is in your eye or distracted, and your opponent takes the shot. What happens? You're dead. You're dead. So what is the important lesson here? You cannot sleep on any of your opponent's opportunities. Yours might pass by for some reason, but you could hope to maybe get another try later. But you cannot sleep on any of your opponent's opportunities, because your opponent might take the shot and you will die. Mm-hmm. So your opponent is more important than you. What your opponent wants, what your opponent's after, what the goals are for them, what they're thinking of, what they're devising, it's more important than yours, because their punches, their shots could be fatal to you. So we are trained as chess players to focus very much on every single move our opponent plays, but not only the moves they're making at the board, their body language, any tell you give me that you're maybe a little bit nervous, you're feeling stressed right at this moment. Maybe you even give away an idea that you're hoping to play just by the way you act. So grandmasters are trained to just stay cool during the game as much as possible. But even breathing patterns will suggest how a person is feeling at a moment. So every little thing. And then don't let me find out what you like for breakfast. Don't have any stress that day. Anything that comes into the game where I say, okay, I'm in your head right now. And every move you make, I'm guessing at, you have nothing against me. So the psychology of the opponent is truly crucial when we play a game.
How do you see that translating into a business negotiation?
Well, it's almost exactly the same as far as I'm concerned. One of those things when you're in any kind of high-level negotiations is being willing to maintain the tension of the moment. You know, a lot of people, we just grab at something. You're in high stakes. Oh, you know what? Let me just grab that money right now that's being offered, instead of playing it cool, maintaining the tension and figuring out whether or not the person you're negotiating with really has more room to go. Maybe there's a little bit more money in there, but also knowing when to stop, when not to overanalyze the situation and let it play itself out too much and then find out that you lose the deal. So it is a game as well, the world of business, very much so. And that's why people have me come and give these talks to high-level corporations. I just did one with Deloitte, the big accounting firm, and talked about all these ideas about how to better be a business person, and also how to be more effective in life using some of the skills of chess.
Indeed. So when I'm thinking about, and I'm not a chess player, I think I can probably name the pieces. But
you're a chess player, trust me. I know you're a high-level competitor. You're a chess player for real. You just need to learn some strategy, but you would be good at the game.
I got you, man. I appreciate that. Well, the grandmaster said it. That means it's true.
It's true.
And I believe it. But as I was thinking about us chatting today, and I'm thinking about the game, and recognizing that there are so many strategies that come with becoming successful in chess, and I'm picturing, I guess, a soldier part of me picturing my men marching across the board to victory on the other end. That there is an element of struggle in that, because you are going up against an opponent who definitely don't want you to come in his home as well. And in life, as we set out to go achieve our goals, it's kind of the same thing. There's always this resistance, right? Why I talk about the fact that they have to keep on pushing. How do you see, again, in terms of connecting chess to life, how do you connect those struggles that you experience on the chessboard to how do they inform how you deal with struggles in life?
Well, you're dead right. As a matter of fact, Emanuel Lasker, who was the second recorded world champion in chess history, that is an official title. He was world champion for 27 years, the longest reigning world champion in history. He was from Germany. Emanuel Lasker wrote a book called Struggle, not even a chess book, just a separate book called Struggle, to discuss the topic of struggle. And he did it, of course, with his chess depth of understanding in mind. And it is a struggle, because you're competing against a player who's potentially as devious and devilish, as conniving as you are, and trying to make sure that whatever you come up with, they're coming up with one better. And so you have to foresee their plans. You have to really very carefully devise and prepare every single assault that you make, and be able to foresee what their intentions are, be able to adjust in the circumstances, whatever they throw at you that you happen not to see. You have to be in a state of mind that's ready to just be flexible and change direction at a moment's whim. And those are elements that play themselves out in life all the time. You can plan all you want, but suddenly something happens, a disaster you could not have anticipated, a potential death of a family member or even a business partner. For example, you had everything going, maybe an investor who you were counting on that was going to be on your side, and then all of a sudden they drop out and you say, man, I thought this was a done deal. We all have to go through the struggles in life, and chess, we have that. And so for me, chess is a metaphor for the struggles of life and what you have to overcome. And it's all done up here. It's all mental. It's all the state of readiness to say, I am prepared for surprises. As a matter of fact, for me, the rule of life is that it's always going to be a surprise. There's always going to be a surprise. So that means when it comes, you shouldn't be surprised, no, whatever it is, because you know it's coming. You know it's coming. You know there's going to be the shock at some point of the thing you didn't expect to come. You know it's coming. So when it happens, just say, okay, here it is. Here it is. I didn't see that one coming. Now, how do I adjust to it?
Yeah. Chess is also a game of choices, isn't it? I think, again, this preparing for our conversation here, I think you said that you need 40 moves about to win a game, and only one can spell disaster, which reminds me of life again, man. How do we? There's no guarantee that you're gonna make the right choice, right? Because you're making a move, and life is making a move. There's always a surprise lurking around the next corner. How do we best prepare, steel ourselves to make the best choice possible and be able to live with the consequences of those choices?
Well, the thing is that humans are very smart people. You know, it may seem that sometimes humans are dumb, but actually humans are pretty smart.
Are they?
There's a joke by George Carlin, who, you know, was a great social commentator, and he'd say, you know, think about how dumb the average human is, and then think that half of them are dumber than that. but
Yeah.
in truth, humans, as you see from a child, just from a very young age, you can see the intelligence that comes from a child learning a new language, learning how to do things very quickly, and even learning how to manipulate their parents, right? Very early on. So we actually have the tools for success already. The challenge for us is the bad habits that we inculcate as we get comfortable with the current tools that we have. So you start to just get into the things that you do normally. This is what I always do. And then you don't want to change. There's a bit of inertia that goes with that. So to me, what it's all about is us being flexible, I think that covers every base. You're flexible when surprises hit, you know, I might have to change. I might have to scrap a plan and move forward. But you're also flexible even when things are going well. I mean, I think of Tiger Woods when he was at the top of his game. He was leading the world. He was the number one golfer, and he decided to rip apart his swing and learn a new golf swing. I mean, think about that. An elite performer who's winning events saying, I need to change. I need to get better. I want to improve. My swing is not consistent enough. I want an even more consistent swing. And even if that means I'm going to lose some tournaments that maybe I would have won as I'm making this transition, but in the end, it's going to pay off. And it was something like a year and a half went by before he finally clicked and he said, oh, got the new swing now. He could do it automatically. And the old swing, the old habits were left behind. And then he won even more tournaments and dominated even more so. So to me, if you're flexible, then you're always going to be ready for failures, but you're also going to consistently prepare yourself to be more successful because you will not rest on your laurels. The journey is never over. There's always more to learn.
Yeah, point well taken. Is actually an example that I use in my talks every now and again as well. You just use the dreaded F word, man, failure. How do you deal with failure, Maurice? Not just, you know, I lost a game in the park, but you know, it's taking me 7-9 years to hit this grandmaster title. How do you deal with those bumps in the road?
You know, it's a wonderful thing to be able to lose a chess game and learn from it, right? Losing is learning, is my philosophy for living. Losing is learning. When you win, it's so much harder to have that frame of mind that you should take apart your victories. Usually what do people do when they're successful? They go celebrate, man. They go pop a Hennessy and party, right? Hey, we closed the deal. That was great. They don't examine the mistakes that they made along the way that could have potentially derailed the deal because they won. So it seems like it was a foregone conclusion. Chess players don't do that. We analyze our wins as well to see whether or not we took the best path. But even if you didn't won the game, you feel like, you know, I showed my skills. There's always those dreaded losses that wake you up. Boom, wake up. Look how many mistakes you made this game. Or look at this crucial mistake you made when the pressure was on and your clock was ticking and you cracked. And those losses are what make us go back and analyze and say, what did I do wrong? How can I do better next time? And it's so important for us that we lose constantly in chess against elite competition as well. We win our games, our share, but we lose our share because it causes us to always go back and look at the process so that we can improve and we can refine. So for me, failure is a jumping point off to success. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
It even when you're feeling terrible, that feeling, to overcome it, is going to improve you as a competitor. It's going to improve you as a person. So for me, I said this recently to someone, it's amazing how fast I can pivot and repurpose a negative outcome into a positive lesson. It's crazy, man. Something bad happened and I go, oh yeah, but you know what? And there's a new lesson I learned. Right. And I do that instantly. I do it without missing a beat. It just doesn't take me long, because somewhere I know that our failures, inside of our failures, are lessons for our successes.
Yeah. So earlier you used the word stress. You just spoke about pressure and cracking. And I have the only sport that I know, lasts as long as chess is probably cricket. So you guys are going 5, 6, 7, 8 hours at times. How do you prepare physically and mentally for such a long haul?
Well, I love the physical question, because chess players have to be physical. You don't see obese players at the top of chess. Like maybe 40 years ago, but they started realizing the correlation between physical fitness and mental peak performance. And so you look at chess players, man, you would think they don't eat food. Like all of them are so slim and trim, but they work out constantly. And playing chess has been shown to burn 6,000 calories a day, which I just find obscene when I think about it. But the energy that you burn at the chessboard is extraordinary. So chess players work out, man. You'll find me in a gym frequently. You'll find me on my bike now. You think I'm training for the Tour de France, man, on my bike, just trying to stay fit, keep that cardio high, because over long games, it's going to be difficult to maintain your stamina and your mental fitness, your mental endurance, if you start feeling it when you're in the 5th hour of play, the 6th hour of play, and you will feel it because you've been focused that entire time. So the physical fitness is a huge component for chess success. And I think for any success in life, everybody should incorporate physical fitness and wellness and good eating into their habits if they want to be elite performers. But the mental side for us as chess players is twofold. One is inside of chess. We start training from fairly early on. When I was 14, I couldn't play 7, 8 hour games. I just couldn't. There was nothing that would prepare me for that. But the more I played, the more tournaments I played, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, you build up that endurance. And at first it's too much, but over time you build it up. So inside of chess, we have a natural path as you get better and better to train for those kind of long haul games. Outside of chess, for me, mental fitness is about really studying elite performers in other activities, right? I love to read the biographies of champions. What is it that Michael Jordan did to stay successful, right? You want to know, what are the elite performers? Tiger Woods, I mentioned earlier. What are the elite performers doing that keeps them at the highest level of their game? I was incredibly inspired by Jackie Robinson, who in baseball was the first African-American who played in the so-called major leagues. Now they've turned it around and announced that the black leagues, the Negro leagues,
I just read
also major leagues as well. Like we didn't know that. But Jackie Robinson was definitely a trailblazer. And the kind of things that he had to go through mentally didn't compare to what I was going through as a black man in the 90s. He was doing this, back in the 40s and the 50s, the challenges that he faced, very different time then. So for me, I like to read about those things to keep my perspective on what is truly mentally difficult to endure. And it also helped my upbringing, to tell you the truth, coming from Tower Hill and the challenges in Jamaica and then in Brownsville. I've seen more than most chess players have seen, and that keeps me mentally tough as well.
On that point, as a chess player from Tower Hill, Jamaica, Brownsville, New York, black man in I'm going to say a white man's world, which is kind of how I feel as a Jamaican bobsledder as well. How do you navigate that? And do you get pushback? Do you get people pulling the race card?
Very infrequently, to be honest. the people who are, they don't really know how to play chess generally, because the players who know how to play chess, they see your moves and they let the moves tell them who's really at the other side, because they know you don't play right, I'm going to kick your ass. That's what's going to happen. And they know that. And so they give respect when they see the moves. We got recorded games so people can go over your games and say, okay, he's making mistakes here, and there. But, ooh, wow, look at this game. He's crushing the guy. Another game, okay, you got to watch out because he brings the big guns to the game. Of course, there are others who weren't used to seeing a black man excel at the high levels of the sport. So, there's some who make some kind of comments that you have to deal with. I remember one grandmaster once called me a derogatory term in Yiddish while I was beating on another player. I was playing an international master, and I was doing well against him. And he didn't know that I was an up-and-coming young player. And he was talking to the other guy. He said, "Man, you letting this Schwarzer beat you?" And, that term is, right, is a Yiddish term that is derogatory in nature. And I couldn't believe it because he was a respected grandmaster, old school guy who played all the famous international, national events. But, somehow karma turns it around, because I finally got a chance to play him twice. Mm-hmm. And you know what happened in those two games?
Exactly. Yeah.
Guess what happened in those two games?
Some Toa.
I dropped it hard on that boy. So, and you should have seen his face after the games as well. So, you let your game do the talking, man. We can't control what other people think and what they believe. We can only control what we do.
Yeah. You mentioned, not in this conversation, a tape I was watching, that the way your personality comes out in the way you play chess. So given that, how would you describe your personality? How would you describe Maurice?
Well, when I was young, I'd say young and foolish.
Welcome to the club.
Young and idealistic. And also aggressive. So as a younger man, I just, it was about survival, right? So we led with our chin just to go in there and fight to the bitter end. And so I always wanted to attack. I was not conservative by nature. I just wanted to crush my opponents, just throw all my pieces at them and destroy. But when you're playing against elite players, that's not going to happen. You can't just throw pieces at them. They're going to duck, dodge, bob, and weave, slip in between the lines, and then destroy your scattered army. So I had to learn to be more subtle. And as I grew, I matured in the sport, matured in my approach. And my idealism was still there on some level. I wanted to play the most perfect game, the most beautiful game, the most aggressive game that just crush your opponent. Everybody cheered and look how beautiful that was. But you start to learn that, you have your imperfections too. And that style is not going to work against elite players. So now you have to be a bit more strategic. You got to be a little bit more patient in building those attacks. And so I started learning a bit more about that caution, the little touch of caution you needed. Now, if you make a mistake, I'm going to be on you like white on rice. Mm-hmm. But before then, I'm going to push and probe and be patient and ponder the possibilities and see where it is that I can find weakness before I truly attack. And I think that comes with maturity. It comes with growth, comes with age, frankly. But that is part of the wisdom of growing in chess.
Yeah. Dude, we could go on forever, have a million other questions, but I think we may have to do this again. We may have to do part 2. I may have to call on my namesake Devon to get you to come, especially since he's a 3-time world champion kickboxer and he's a bigger brother. So, but Maurice, what would you say is the biggest impact that this love affair that you have had with chess has had on you?
Well, I think that the big thing for me, and it may come as a small surprise, is not actually chess, but where it has taken me. Chess has taken me all over the world, and my love of travel has just been inflamed by my passion for chess. When I was sitting in Brownsville, Brooklyn, we didn't have any money. I'd only been on a plane once in my life until I was 19 years old. And that was just to come to the United States. And I would see these names of these places where people were playing. And Paul Morphy went to Paris and played in the Café de la Régence. And you'd see the great champions like Alexander Alekhine playing in Moscow, and Bobby Fischer played in Reykjavik, Iceland for the world championship title. And you're looking and say, man, where are these places in the world? And man, I'd love to be able to visit those places and visit the locations where they played. And you know what? I've been able to do all of it. I've been able to travel to all these places, been to Moscow a couple of times, Paris multiple times, Reykjavik twice, all around the world, traveling because of my passion for chess. And so it's impacted me in my love for languages, study a couple of languages, French and Spanish, also studied some Russian. It's inflamed me with my love for world culture and the people I get to meet. And lately it's been also bringing me back to the homeland in Africa, where I've been to so many countries. I've been to 8 countries now in Africa as I bring chess. I now bring chess to the young people there as well. So it's amazing the indelible mark that chess has left on me, and this passion for travel and culture and meeting new people and languages. And I say it's all or mainly because of my passion for chess.
Yeah. But I'm listening to you though, and I agree with you, but I'm just amazed in awe of the journey. But I think it speaks to what can happen in our lives when we find a passion and decide to put the work in, right? So it doesn't really matter where you're from. In your case, Tower Hill and Brownsville. Now you're in Moscow and Reykjavik and across Africa and other parts of the world. So I'm grateful, man, that you're able to spend the time with us, because I think your story absolutely epitomizes this keep on pushing philosophy. So, and as a fellow Jamaican, I'm really proud of the accomplishments. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Big up.
Respect.
Respect.